cold February evening. A quiet stretch of Route 112 in rural New Hampshire. A crashed car, an empty driver's seat, and a young woman who would vanish into the freezing night, leaving behind only questions, and a legacy of mystery that endures 2 decades later. And today, 21 years later, a new clue and a suspicious name. This is not just the story of a missing person. This is the story of Maura Murray, the woman the whole world is looking for, and the night when everything changed forever. Every crime has a story. Some are solved, some vanish forever. But what is the truth? Welcome to Crimelapse, where we chase the facts. Now let's shed light on what's been lost in the dark. Before the headlines, before the search parties, before the theories that would dominate online forums for years, there was just Maura, a daughter, a sister, a friend. Born on May 4, 1982, Maura Murray grew up in Hanson, Massachusetts, the fourth of 5 children. Her father, Fred Murray, a fiercely determined man, instilled a drive for success in all his kids. Maura wasn't just bright. She was exceptional. An honor student. A star athlete. At Whitman-Hanson Regional High School, she ran track, excelling in the 2-mile event. Maura's discipline, her focus, and her quiet, intense demeanor set her apart. Teachers and coaches described her as unstoppable. After high school, Maura achieved what many only dream of. She was accepted into the prestigious United States Military Academy at West Point. Life at West Point is not for the faint of heart. Every day a battle against physical exhaustion, academic pressure, and relentless discipline. And Maura seemed built for it. But beneath the perfection, cracks were forming. In her second year, Maura was caught stealing makeup from the campus commissary, a strange, out-of-character act. Rather than face disciplinary action that could have derailed her future, Maura transferred to the University of Massachusetts Amherst to study nursing. Was this just a youthful mistake? Or the first sign that something deeper, something darker, was brewing under the surface? At UMass, Maura's life seemed, at least on the surface, back on track. She was in a long-term relationship with Bill Roche, a West Point cadet. She worked 2 part-time jobs, one at a campus security desk, another at a local art gallery. But once again, strange incidents shadowed her steps. In late 2003, Maura was involved in a credit card fraud case, ordering food using a stolen card number. The pattern was there. A life of achievement, marred by sudden, inexplicable acts of self-sabotage. Why? February 5, 2004. While working the campus security desk, Maura received a phone call. Minutes later, she broke down into tears, described by her supervisor as completely zoned out and unreachable. All Maura could say was, "My sister." But later, it turned out the call was not from her sister at all. What did that call mean? Was it bad news? Or something more sinister? That weekend, her father Fred visited, supposedly to help her shop for a new car. But later, some would question whether a simple car search explained the strange, rushed behavior witnesses noticed in both Maura and Fred. Saturday night, Maura wrecked her father's brand new Toyota Corolla after a party. The crash caused nearly $10,000 in damages. Fred was understanding, but the incident clearly shook Maura. By Monday morning, February 9th, Maura's mind was made up. She emailed professors claiming there was a death in the family. She packed her belongings carefully, withdrew almost all her cash from the ATM, and printed directions to the White Mountains of New Hampshire. And then, she drove away. Was she planning to start over? Was she running from someone or something? Or was this a desperate bid for escape from a life that felt like it was slowly falling apart? February 9th, 2004. The last known day of Maura Murray's life as we know it. A day stitched together not by clarity, but by fragments, half-truths, and unanswered questions. A Monday that began like any other for Maura Murray, yet would end in vanished secrets. Let's walk through her final hours minute by minute. Maura rises early that morning. She methodically packs a single duffel bag, a change of clothes, toiletries, her UMass ID, nursing textbooks, and nothing more. No heavy luggage. Just the essentials, almost as though she intends to leave in haste. At exactly 9:15 a.m., Maura sends the now infamous email. There has been a death in my family and I will not be attending classes for a week. I'm sorry for the late notice. There was no death. Why claim a family bereavement? Was it a smokescreen to explain her disappearance, or a cry for help in disguise? Next, she calls a condo rental service in Bartlett, New Hampshire, a place her family often visited. The call lasts 3 minutes. No reservation is made. She places a printed email to Bill on top of a box, like a quiet goodbye. Maura prints driving directions to Burlington, Vermont, and several motels in the White Mountains region. Her cursor hovers over MapQuest, as if confirming every turn. A few blocks away, Maura withdraws $280 from her bank account. The precise amount suggests she calculated her expenses: gas, lodging, perhaps a return trip, or maybe not. Maura stops at a local cafe for a sandwich and a coffee. Witnesses describe her as calm, no agitation, no visible distress. She sits alone, glancing occasionally at her watch. A quiet moment before the storm. Next, she purchases alcohol: a bottle of Bailey's Irish Cream, a bottle of Kahlua, a quart of vodka, and a 5-liter box of Franzia wine. Enough alcohol for more than just one person. Was Maura planning to meet someone? An odd shopping list for a solo traveler, especially one heading into the cold New England night. Was this to steady her nerves? Or to subdue pain she couldn't voice? Maura's cell phone briefly locks onto a tower near Amherst. That is the last time her phone is ever heard from. No voicemails. No goodbye calls to family or friends. Just silence. Shortly after 7:15 p.m., near Beans Purchase, New Hampshire, Maura misjudges a sharp curve on Route 112. Her car sideswipes a snowbank, spinning partially into the roadside embankment. No witnesses see the crash happen. They only see the aftermath. Resident Faith Westman spots the Saturn off the road. She calls out, but Maura doesn't respond. Faith watches from her window as a man in a reflective vest, school bus driver Butch Atwood, approaches the car. She was sitting in the driver's seat, shaking her head. I asked if she was okay. She said, "I'm fine, I already called 911. That struck me as odd. There was no cell service.
I just asked her how she was. She said she was shaken up. I couldn't see any blood on her face. And she was shaking like this. I says, okay, I'm going to go call the police.
Atwood returns to his bus and drives off, intending to call for help. Officer Cecil Smith arrives at 7:42 p.m. He finds the Saturn locked, airbags deployed, windshield cracked. Inside the passenger footwell, he notes spilled red wine, staining the wool floor matte bright scarlet. No Maura. No footprints leading away. No cell phone, no wallet, no ID. By 8:15 p.m., state police, county deputies, and volunteer searchers fan out under floodlights. They comb the woods, probing snowdrifts and hollows. No sign of Maura. No clothing. No blood. Nothing. As night falls and temperatures plunge below zero, the search is suspended, too dangerous to continue in complete darkness. When the sun rises the next morning, the Saturn will still be there, empty, and Maura Murray will have vanished from the face of the earth.
We did an intensive search of the crash scene area for evidence that she may have walked into the woods. Nothing like that was uncovered.
Did Maura leave willingly? Or did she meet with someone, Someone who ensured she would never be found. Why did she decline help? Why leave her car intact? And most hauntingly, where did she go next? Within minutes of the first 911 call on February 9, 2004, a volunteer neighbor and 2 local officers were combing the snow-packed shoulders of Route 112. But from the very start, missteps would cost precious hours in which Maura Murray might still have been alive. According to police reports, Smith notes the car locked, engine cold, no footprints leading into the woods. Yet, rather than expanding the search radius beyond the immediate roadside, officers focused on logging the scene. Meanwhile, Maura's scent trail, picked up by a bloodhound, led only about 100 yards down the road before disappearing entirely. No fresh snow, no human tracks. But there was no systematic grid search that night. No aerial sweep until the following morning. And temperatures dipped well below freezing. By February 10th, Fred Murray was voicing frustration in public. They treated her like property, not a person, he told the Boston Globe. He accused law enforcement of losing the urgency every parent knows when their child is missing. Search teams organized by Fred, hundreds of volunteers, snowmobiles, ATVs, fanned out into the White Mountain National Forest. But coordination between private volunteers and state police was almost non-existent. At one point, a team discovered what looked like a blood stain on a rock, only to have police dismiss it as rust. Key evidence logs went missing. Interview notes from the first witnesses, Butch Atwood, Faith Westman, were handwritten, later transcribed with discrepancies. In the crucial first 24 hours, communication breakdowns and under-resourced crews left gaps that have never been closed. Those early mistakes, underestimating the terrain, over-relying on outdated protocols, and under-communicating, turned what should have been a rapid, concentrated search into a patchwork of dead ends. "20 years of speculation have distilled into 3 central theories: voluntary disappearance, foul play, or accidental death. Each carries its own weight and its own problems. The runaway theory points to Maura's last-minute preparations. Packed boxes, nearly emptied bank account, printed maps to Vermont. Proponents argue she staged the crash, stuffed cloth in the tailpipe to disable the car, and walked into a new life. But if Maura intended to vanish, why leave Alice's Irish cream intact? Why abandon winter clothing in sub-zero temperatures? And why would a nursing student with a future just months away risk everything with such a reckless plan? Moreover, no credible sightings surfaced after that night. No alias used, no footprints in new locales. The trail goes cold. New Hampshire winters are brutal. Hypothermia can deceive victims into thinking they're hot, shedding garments, wandering farther. Search parties found no tracks beyond the initial scent trail, yet snow and wind can erase evidence within hours. But decades of searches, on foot, by helicopter, with cadaver dogs, have failed to recover so much as a glove. If Maura succumbed in the woods, nature concealed her better than any human could. The most chilling theory: Maura was picked up and possibly killed by another person. Locals reported seeing a red pickup truck that night. Convicted sex offenders lived in the area. Could a predator have offered help, then turned violent? Yet, no suspects were ever identified. No forensic evidence, hair, fibers, DNA, ties anyone to Maura. And although Fred Murray insists foul play is the only plausible explanation, police admit they have no proof to charge. A more controversial theory suggests local authorities buried evidence to avoid embarrassment. Missing logs, conflicting statements, and early focus on administrative details over search efforts feed this suspicion. Was someone protecting an insider? Or did the bureaucracy simply fail, an unofficial cover-up of incompetence? In early 2004, Maura had begun communicating with several unknown contacts online. The thought of driving into the night to meet a stranger, at a time when social media was nascent, feels both reckless and plausible. But investigators found no digital breadcrumbs, no confirmation of a scheduled rendezvous, no email headers pointing to a location. The online date remains conjecture. 3 decades of secrets, 5 theories, countless what-ifs. Did Maura Murray choose to disappear? Was she a victim of a cruel twist of fate? Or did darkness, human or natural, swallow her that night? Whatever the truth, Maura's disappearance reminds us that sometimes the coldest nights leave the deepest shadows. February 9, 2004. A night like any other, until it wasn't. What followed would be years, decades, of searching, of questioning, of hoping against hope. Immediately after Maura's disappearance, her family launched an aggressive search campaign. Hundreds of missing posters were printed. News stations broadcast Maura's photo across New England. Fred Murray, her devoted father, spearheaded the search, organizing volunteers, pressuring police for answers.
Everybody's here looking for you. Just call any one of us and we'll come right down and get you. Don't be afraid, please.
We're all sticking together and we're all giving each other a hand. We love her and we want her back.
But cracks in the investigation quickly appeared. It took New Hampshire State Police 2 full days to officially declare Maura a missing person. 2 days. In the bitter February cold. Rumors swirled. A waitress in Vermont claimed to have seen a girl matching Maura's description. A truck driver reported picking up a hitchhiker on Route 112. Each lead was investigated, each one evaporated into nothing. Fred filed multiple Freedom of Information Act (FOIA) requests to gain access to the case files, but most were denied. Frustration mounted as the family suspected crucial information was being withheld.
This is just part of overturning the next stone to see what's under it. But it's incredibly hard and it's terribly frustrating. If you keep it a missing person case forever, you never have to say anything at all about what you did.
Online communities began their own investigations. Message boards like Web Sleuths and the Maura Murray Forum became hotbeds of theories and debates. Many questioned the police's handling of the initial crash site. Why wasn't a grid search done that night? Why was the area treated as a routine accident rather than a crime scene? And then questions about Maura herself surfaced. Why had she lied to professors about a death in the family? Why was she driving alone into the White Mountains without telling friends or family? In 2011, a group of volunteer investigators called the Aware Foundation reignited interest, organizing renewed searches in the woods near the crash site. Dogs hit on areas near a dilapidated A-frame house close to the crash scene. Years later, rumors would swirl that possible blood evidence was found in that house's basement, but mishandled and never properly tested. On February 8, 2012, just 1 day before the 8th anniversary of Maura Murray's disappearance, a disturbing video surfaced on YouTube. Uploaded by a user named 112 Dirtbag, the video, titled Happy Anniversary, features a middle-aged man sitting in what appears to be a basement. He stares directly into the camera, laughing maniacally for over a minute. At the end, he winks and the words, Happy Anniversary, appear in pink text. The username 112 Dirtbag is believed to reference Route 112, where Maura's car was found, and the term dirtbag, which Maura's father, Fred Murray, used to describe those he suspected were involved in her disappearance. The video quickly gained attention, with many speculating about its connection to Maura's case. Some believed it was a cruel taunt, others thought it might be a genuine lead. Authorities investigated and identified the man in the video as Alden Olson. After questioning, they found no evidence linking him to Maura's disappearance. Olson claimed he posted the video to raise awareness about the case. Shortly after its upload, the video was taken down, and the 112 Dirtbag account was deleted. However, copies of the video continued to circulate online. While the 112 Dirtbag video was ultimately deemed unrelated to Maura's disappearance, it serves as a chilling reminder of the case's enduring mystery and the lengths some will go to insert themselves into such narratives. In February 2014, the 10th anniversary, dozens gathered at the site of the crash. Fred Murray gave an emotional interview. "It's been 10 years, and I'm no closer to finding my daughter than the night she went missing. I will never stop looking for my daughter, no matter how long it takes. For every year Maura stayed missing, the hole in the hearts of her loved ones grew deeper." After years of speculation, a private investigator organized a search at the A-frame house. Ground-penetrating radar suggested an anomaly beneath the basement. A dig was performed, full of hope.
It tells me that my daughter is buried there most likely, and that I'm powerless to dig her up and bring her home and give her a proper burial.
A team of over a dozen agents and detectives went into that basement. They cut that area, removed the concrete, and then searched several feet down and covered the entire area and beyond where that disturbed ground had been. And they located absolutely nothing other than a small piece of what looks to be potentially pottery, or maybe a piece of old piping.
This one hurts because I thought we finally had it. This one is worse than the other false alarms or dead ends.
And yet, nothing. No remains. No answers. Another dream deferred. Oxygen Network aired a 6-part documentary, The Disappearance of Maura Murray, bringing her story to mainstream audiences. Fred and her siblings participated, hoping renewed exposure would shake loose new leads. The show raised awareness but also stirred controversy. Critics claimed it sensationalized tragedy. Others praised it for keeping Maura's name alive. Thousands of tips flooded in after the airing. None led to Maura. Law enforcement began using newer DNA profiling methods, hoping to re-examine old evidence. Unidentified remains found along the Connecticut River were tested. Again and again, negative. Podcasts and YouTube channels, including hundreds of citizen investigators, kept her story alive. New theories sprouted, some credible, others wild and unfounded. The New Hampshire Cold Case Unit listed Maura's case as one of its active investigations. Still, many believe the real momentum comes not from law enforcement, but from relentless family, private detectives, and citizen sleuths. February 9, 2024, marked 20 years since Maura disappeared. Memorials were held in Haverhill and Hanson, Massachusetts. Family, friends, strangers, all gathered to honor a young woman frozen in time, 21 years old forever. Fred Murray, now in his 70s, gave one last interview. "If Maura's out there, I love her. If she's gone, I'll see her on the other side." Blue ribbons, the color of hope, were tied around trees across Massachusetts and New Hampshire. Today, 2025, Maura Murray's case remains open. No body. No confirmed sightings, no arrests, and no closure. The New Hampshire State Police state the case remains open and active, but how active no one truly knows. For years, the disappearance of Maura Murray lingered like a shadow. Investigations, leads, suspicions, all eventually faded into silence. Until now. In late 2024, the New Hampshire State Police's Cold Case Unit received an unexpected call. The National Fingerprint Database, AFIS, had returned a hit on an old case. It was a match to a fingerprint found inside Maura Murray's Saturn, one that had sat unidentified for nearly 2 decades. And now they had a name. Steffen Baldwin. Who was this man? And how was he connected to Maura's disappearance? Steffen Baldwin was, many years ago, a fellow cadet at West Point, just like Maura. Back then, he went by the name Stefan Finkelstein. Their exact relationship remains unclear. However, some reports suggest Baldwin may have acted as a kind of barracks representative, a peer advisor involved in disciplinary matters, during Maura's time at West Point. Not long after Maura left West Point, Baldwin did too. In the years that followed, Baldwin reinvented himself in Ohio as an animal rescue advocate. But the story was far darker than it seemed. In early 2025, Baldwin was convicted on 32 felony counts, including animal cruelty, fraud, bribery, and obstruction of justice. He had illegally euthanized animals, misused donations, and covered up evidence for years. The result? A 15-and-a-half-year prison sentence. It was during this legal process that Baldwin's fingerprints were entered into the national database. And they matched a print found inside Maura's car. The fingerprint evidence. What does it mean? According to officials, Baldwin's fingerprint was discovered on a CD case found inside Maura's Saturn. But this revelation didn't immediately answer all the questions. When interrogated by the FBI, Baldwin admitted he knew Maura from West Point and said they occasionally traded CDs, suggesting his fingerprint may have transferred through some innocent exchange. He firmly denied ever being inside her car. Was it truly an innocent coincidence? Or was Baldwin somehow involved in Maura's disappearance? A new direction for the investigation. Right now, the New Hampshire State Police and the FBI are meticulously reconstructing Baldwin's movements in early 2004. Was Baldwin in the New England area when Maura vanished? Had they remained in contact after leaving West Point? Could Baldwin know more about what happened to Maura than he's admitting? Additionally, Baldwin's DNA samples are being cross-referenced against other forensic evidence collected from Maura's car. Investigators are re-interviewing old witnesses. And most importantly, they've issued a public call for information. Anyone who knows anything about Steffen Baldwin's whereabouts in February 2004 is urged to come forward. Maura's father, Fred Murray, described this development as a small but very real glimmer of hope. A fingerprint doesn't tell the whole story. We still need the missing pieces to find the truth. Could this tiny clue finally illuminate the truth hidden in darkness for over 2 decades? A missing girl, a CD case, a single fingerprint. Sometimes a question left unanswered can echo for years. And sometimes the smallest piece of evidence can change everything. Was Steffen Baldwin just a forgotten footnote in Maura's story? Or something far more sinister? The truth is still out there. And sometimes, the answers arrive when we least expect them. Maybe Maura ran away, seeking freedom from the pressures closing in. Maybe she trusted the wrong stranger. Maybe she simply wandered into the darkness and never returned. Or maybe, the truth is far more ordinary and infinitely more heartbreaking than any theory suggests. We live in a world that demands answers. We are wired to believe that with enough effort, enough time, mysteries yield to facts. But some voids are never filled. If you or someone you know has information about Maura Murray, you can still contact the New Hampshire Cold Case Unit. One whisper, one memory, one clue could change everything. And if not, if the silence holds, then Maura remains out there somewhere. A story unfinished. A light lost but never forgotten. The truth always rises to the surface, but sometimes when you least expect it. If this story made you think, don't forget to subscribe, like, and turn on notifications. See you in the next case. Stay safe.